Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, bringing you some of the best college football news, predictions, and analysis. We've got some Christmas Eve football way out west as Hawaii will be taking on BYU in the Hawaii Bowl, a matchup featuring two very evenly matched teams that should provide us with some great holiday football. The Rainbow Warriors are being led by Nick Rolovich in his fourth year as head coach at Hawaii and appearing in his third bowl game. It's a very impressive mark considering the state of Hawaii football before he arrived there. And 2019 was by far his best season yet, as he has Hawaii sitting at 9-5 right now, including an appearance in the Mountain West title game where they fell to Boise State. Rolovich really doing a great job with his Rainbow Warriors program. BYU, similar situation. Kalani Sitake now in his fourth year with the Cougars, also making his third bowl appearance with the Cougars. They're sitting at 7-5 right now. Not the best of marks, but very good considering the Cougars were 2-4 midway through October. So 2-4 midway through October, went 5-1 down the stretch. And keep in mind, one of those wins did come over Boise State. So these two teams, guys, I'm telling you, really when you look at the stats, when you look at everything surrounding this game on Christmas Eve, you've got some very evenly matched teams here. Very similar styles, and I think this is a game that you're going to see come down to the wire just because of how similar these two teams are when they match up against each other. And we'll start with the offensive side of the ball and how both of these teams rely on the pass. And I would say definitely Hawaii relies on it way more than BYU, and that's to be expected when you've got a quarterback like Cole McDonald. And he has kind of took the nation by storm last year. Hawaii really last year came out of nowhere. No one expected the season they were going to have. And Cole McDonald maybe even putting up better numbers this year. Over 3,600 yards, 29 touchdowns, but 14 interceptions. That is the key number right there. He's got to take better care of the football. The yards are great. The touchdowns are great. He can turn it on in an instant. He's got some elaborate and elite wide receivers out there such as Cedric Byrd, who's putting up some big-time numbers this year as well. So he's got the talent surrounding him. That is really one of the main reasons Hawaii has 9 wins right now. The reason they're averaging 33.6 points per game. But he's got to watch out for those interceptions. They've been very costly down the stretch in some of these games for the Rainbow Warriors this season. You don't want to see that happen in the most important game of this season. When you look at BYU, they have used multiple quarterbacks this season, not by their own doing. That, of course, coming from injuries and for some of them poor play. But we're expecting Zach Wilson to be the starter on Christmas Eve. You know, he kind of took the nation by storm as well last year, at least took the BYU fans and the state of BYU by storm last year in their bowl game, Idaho Potato Bowl, going perfect. Did not throw an incompletion in that blowout win for the Cougars over Western Michigan. He is expected to start this Saturday or this month, Tuesday, on Christmas Eve against Hawaii, leading an offense that's averaging 28 points per game, 285.6 passing yards per game. And Wilson, his passing numbers are mediocre, over 2,100 yards, 11 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, but he did miss 4 games, so we have to keep those in mind. The numbers are a little skewed there. Could have been better if he hadn't missed 4 games due to injury. Also keep in mind that unlike Cole McDonald, Zach Wilson, way more mobile. He is way more mobile, has that dual threat capability that could pose a problem for this Rainbow Warriors defense. When you look at these teams defensively, BYU definitely owns a slight edge there, and that's to be expected. Hawaii is one of those teams that can put up a lot of numbers offensively, and they expect to be able to outscore you because of that. They're not saying they disregard defense fully, but they know if we can put up a lot of numbers, our defense will come through at some point. You know, they're going to get a stop, they're going to get a turnover at some point, hopefully, and then our offense will do the rest from there. BYU is allowing 24.4 points per game, while Hawaii is allowing an average of 31.7 points per game. Hawaii is allowing 225.3 passing yards per game. Not a bad mark, but the number I've got circled here is the 200.8 rushing yards per game that Hawaii allows. And I've got the same number circled for BYU, They're not that much better against the run. 181.3 rushing yards per game allowed. That's bad, guys. We mentioned that both these teams are going to be very pass happy, very pass first teams. Once again, more so Hawaii than BYU. But one of the keys for the game we have here is that we talk so much about the pass, but that the run game could be the difference maker in this 2019 Hawaii Bowl. Which team is going to be able to run the ball more effectively than the other? Which one is going to be able to do that? And that could be your difference maker. When you look at the numbers, BYU averages 9.7 rushing yards per game more than Hawaii. So we just kind of throw that number out the window. Okay, great. You have less than 10 yards per game more than the Rainbow Warriors. That doesn't mean that much to me. It means they run a little bit more effectively, but not that much. But when I'm looking at individual players, I think Hawaii owns that rushing edge, and it could be Hawaii that ends up making the difference with their ground game instead of Cole McDonald making the difference solely through the air. They've got Miles Reed at running back, 891 yards and 8 touchdowns on the season. And the reason that I like him a little bit better is because Hawaii's offensive system complements him more. Think about it. Hawaii passes the ball so much, and if you pass and you pass and you pass, eventually it's going to set up the run. And we've seen that countless times this season from the Rainbow Warriors. Just go watch some of the film from previous games. Keep in mind, guys, this is still a Hawaii team that beat Arizona and Oregon State to kick off this 2019 season. I get neither of those teams made a bowl game. I get that both of those teams combined for 9 total wins. But those are still 2 Power 5 opponents that Hawaii was able to beat in very close games. And close games is something that matters in the postseason. Shows a team is able to win in those late game scenarios. But I like Miles Reed more than BYU's running attack right now. So that's why I'm favoring Hawaii in the run game. That's why I'm favoring them in the passing game. And that could be a major X factor and major difference maker in this game against the Cougars, unless BYU can really improve that rushing defense. The second key we have for the game, this goes for both teams, but more so for Hawaii, is convert in the red zone. Convert in the red zone. The reason we bring this up is if you go back and watch the Mountain West title game against Boise State, Hawaii had possessions or had chances to score from the Boise State 1-yard line and 5-yard line. They chose to go for it both times. So they were in the red zone and were unable to punch the ball into the end zone. They went for it on 4th down from the 1 and from the 5 and got stuffed. That's 14 points they left on the board. Maybe 6. Take the field goal. 6 points. Hawaii lost that game by 21, 31-10. They get both of those touchdowns there, and it's a 7-point game. They were unable to convert in the red zone, and that's a problem. That's something that they cannot do against BYU. They cannot get down there and fail to put points on the board. I don't care if it's just 3 points. Hawaii has to get some points on the board. Additionally, turnovers is an issue. We mentioned that with Cole McDonald, the 14 interceptions he had. That's unacceptable. He's done a very poor job of taking care of the football this year, and that's something that's not going to fly against a BYU team that has been fairly mediocre in terms of taking the ball away. He had 2 turnovers against Boise State in that Mountain West title game, and those 2 turnovers turned into 14 points for the Broncos. So if Hawaii scores in the red zone like they could have from the 1 and the 5-yard line and either plays better defense or better yet just doesn't turn the ball over, they may be Mountain West champions right now. They may be. It's a 21-point victory, and there were a lot of things that turned into points for Boise and very well could have been points for Hawaii. So those are some storylines to watch out for here. Hawaii has to convert in the red zone, and they have to take care of the football. Same can be said for BYU, but I feel like the timing right now, from what we've seen more recently, this applies more to the Rainbow Warriors. So who's going to go home on Christmas Eve happy? Who's going to get this Christmas miracle and one of the greatest gifts this Christmas by walking away with a win, ending their 2019 campaign with a win? When you look at the history, guys, Hawaii is 1-3 in their past 4 Hawaii Bowls. They're 1-3 in their past 4 Hawaii Bowls. So I guess you can say so much for home field advantage. You look at the Rainbow Warriors and you think, you're playing in your home stadium, you think you'd play a little bit better, and yet They've been there multiple times in recent years, only been able to win one of those. But this year feels a little bit different. I am a huge fan of Nick Rolovich. I really think he's changing the culture over at Hawaii. He is really making this football team proud and making them relevant again in the Mountain West. The Rainbow Warriors are 6-2 at home this season. Those other home losses coming by fairly slim margins. BYU is just 3-3 on the road, so right at 500. Not great, not bad, right in the middle when it comes to road games. But I always think of Hawaii as being a difficult place to play, especially for teams that don't go there often, teams that are out of the Mountain West. It's a long flight. You kind of get distracted. It's Hawaii. Not many people can say they've been there. BYU 3-3 on the road. I love Nick Rolovich and this team. They're looking to avenge their blowout loss at home in the postseason last year. And I think Hawaii beats BYU in a very close game on Christmas Eve. I think it comes down to the wire. I think this is a battle between two very even teams. But right now, I like Hawaii's passing attack more. I like the running attack a little bit more. Defense is the only cause of concern, but I do think Hawaii fixes those turnovers. I think they fix those red zone woes, and they clinch a 10-win season for the first time since 2010. So guys, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Make sure to like this video and check out everything we have for you in the description below. We got college football content, college football offers, spread picks for the Hawaii Bowl, and every other bowl game over at thegridironexpert.com. So make sure you do not miss out on that. And as always, thank you for watching. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.